12% of black people voted for now President elect Donald Trump. They voted for him because they could not stand Vice President Kamala Harris. And some of the black men said, well, he gave us a stimulus check. The Democrats never gave us nothing. So that's why they decided to vote for him. No, you voted for him because you hate yourselves and you hate strong black independent women. Tyrone Bowman live. Welcome to the program on tonight. On the then campaign trail, candidate Trump promised white people he would get reparations for them. I found this video courtesy of Indisputable rather, with Dr. Richey. Listen to this. And the next video, I'm going to read an article from the Black Information Network, and I'm going to read some of the comments that people posted on X. All right, here we go. Check this out.
Trump says he believes in reparations for white people who have suffered under DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Here it is.
Or I will direct the Department of Justice to pursue federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination and schools that persist in explicit unlawful discrimination under the guise of equity will not only have their endowments taxed, but through budget reconciliation, I will advance a measure to have them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment. A portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies that hurt our country so badly. Colleges have gotten hundreds of billions of dollars from hardworking taxpayers, and now we are going to get this anti-American insanity out of our institutions once and for all.
Here's how Joy Reid and Don Lemon reacted to Trump's proclamation.
Reparations, but for white people. This is America.
So, in other words, reparations for white people. Any comments on that, Trump legs?
Now, I really would like, specifically, black Trump supporters to opine on this measure. I consider it to be madness. You all have an invitation here anytime. As for the Trumpites, well, we already know this was the plan all along. Let's put up, there he is. He is the great champion of the racist bigot in America. What used to be a discussion at a dinner table inside of the home of racists everywhere has now become policy via Donald Trump. President-elect Trump said he would tax the endowments of schools engaging in racial equity and fine them. What about HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, like where I work at? Our endowments are historically lower than other institutions. You're going to fine black colleges for engaging in the upliftment of black culture? Keep this picture back up. So remember, he's proposing, quote, a portion of the seized funds will be then used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies that hurt our country so badly, end quote. While Trump doesn't explicitly say who would be considered victims of the so-called equity discrimination, it's safe to presume that he intends to center this on white families, given the slew of DEI lawsuits, anti-DEI lawsuits that have gone to court claiming anti-white discrimination, including lawsuits filed by America First Legal, which was founded by Trump's incoming Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, Stephen Miller. Democratic strategist Amicia Cross warns that Trump's plan to eliminate the Department of Education will have a sweeping impacts on Black and brown communities. Quote, there are a vast amount of individuals across this country who don't understand essentially the functions of the department, up to and including student debt relief, but also things like the Pell Grant, which helps provide college accessibility for over 80% of the Black population, Cross told the Griot. Quote, many of those students will go on to HBCUs and other institutions, and they would not stand a chance without being able to have some of the grant funding support that comes out of the Department of Education. One of the institutions I'm a professor at, roughly 90% of our students receive some form of federal financial aid because of the median income household they come from. This is fair. Money, lack thereof, or a zip code should not be the determining factor if you're able to achieve in higher education or not. And that was the spirit and is the spirit behind these programs through the Department of Education. Now, can the Department of Education do better? Of course, every department in the federal government has room to do better. Cross explained that the Department of Education is also responsible for investigating claims of discrimination against students based on race, gender, disability, or religion. She noted that these include students who have been abused, students who are calling out because they have significant trauma from events that happen on campus, including incidents like the recent pro-Trump racist text sent to Black college students across this nation. In terms of reparations for slavery, for the record, I want to remind everyone, on April 16, 1862, President Abraham Lincoln signed a bill emancipating enslaved people in Washington at the end of a long struggle. But to ease the slave owners' pain, the District of Columbia Emancipation Act paid those loyal to the Union up to $300 for every enslaved person freed. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, slave owners received reparations. Enslaved African Americans got nothing for their generations of stolen bodies, snatched children, and expropriated labor other than their mere release from legal bondage. The compensation clause is not likely to be celebrated today. But as the debate about reparations for slavery intensifies, it is important to remember that slave owners, far more than the enslaved, were always the primary beneficiaries of public largesse. This is it. Here we go again. I mean, it's really repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. It looks different, but it's the same. So rinse and repeat. So who's at the top of the list to get reparations now? White people. Those who have been, discriminated against based on, according to Trump, DEI policies. But I said this prior when he was in office the first time. His launch against diversity, equity, and inclusion comes with a plan. Now, this would have been executed in his re-election, but he wasn't re-elected. But I said it then, and to those, especially to those on the left who stood in agreement with getting rid of affirmative action, I said then, you're misguided because you're playing checkers, they playing chess. They got to get rid of affirmative action in order to clear the way to do things like this. I wrote it in an op-ed in Rolling Out. You can see it now. So this was the plan all along, to get to this space. And while we keep reacting as if we're playing checkers, they continue to move forward because they are playing chess. And this was a strategy from day one. They have somehow leaped over the element, the conversation of reparations for the disenfranchised black folk in the United States of America. They have decided to bypass that argument in order to trade it for the argument that whites were illegally treated based on diversity, equity, and inclusion. The first sign is when Donald Trump signed an executive action eliminating DEI from federal contracts. He basically made it illegal to engage in any DEI type of workshops or mandates for those who had federal contracts. And then the movement continued. And now the person who's the architect for this madness is going to have a position with his administration, a chief position at that. Jordan, thoughts here?
All right, I'm going to leave that right there where Dr. Richey left off at. Let me just say this. In the words of Malcolm X, quote, "You have been bamboozled. You've been hoodwinked. You've been run amok. Been led astray to the 12% of black people who were duped into voting for Donald Trump. You thought you were smart. You called yourself engineering something that you thought was going to benefit you. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. Here in America, Japanese people received reparations. America rebuilt Japan. Vietnam was rebuilt by America. The Chinese, even Chinese people who were in internment camps received reparations. And now you want us to believe that educationally and academically white people have been and are being discriminated against? Are you serious? Been telling you all about Project 2025 for a while, but y'all didn't want to believe it. What you saw him reading, he was reading a scripted narrative that was put in front of him. Because Project 2025 is nothing more but a white supremacist manifesto to take us back 300 or 400 years here in America. And they're going to do their damnedest to try to do it. There would be no need for diversity, equity, and inclusion, aka DEI, if there was an even playing field. And for those of you that think this is a game and you think this is a joke, let me make something crystal clear to you all. Because I do read your comments, I just don't respond to them. I see them when they come across. I don't want and I don't need reparations. Because I'm on my way to becoming something that you all don't see coming. And this is the reason why I encourage my people that I'm talking to who subscribe to this channel. Take your destiny in your own hands. Take your economic future into your own hands. Take your family's longevity and posterity into your own hands. Don't buy where you can't work. Don't buy where they don't hire us. Don't buy where they discriminate against us. And major metropolitan cities all around America, the plan of gentrification is in effect. And when you look at the construction crews, they don't have any black people on those crews. Got plenty of Latinos, plenty of Mexicans, and other people, but they won't hire any black people. Stop waiting for clear people to do something for you that you can do for yourself. This is a new generation. I don't have to beg. I don't have to protest. I don't have to march up and down in the streets, because I know that the power of money is more powerful than protesting. What rich people fear, they fear black people becoming economically sound, economically independent. Why? Because it gives them a voice. It gives them leverage. It gives them credibility. It gives them a seat at the table of negotiations. You might hate me and don't like the pigmentation of my skin. I don't like yours either. How about that? But the one thing y'all love the power of green. You love money because money is your God. So you love to worship money. And there are too many of my people. You're blinded. You're confused. You're throwing your lives away in the streets, destroying yourselves. What are you doing? You are fueling the prison industrial complex. You're fueling the corrections corporations of America. You keep filling up the jail cells. You keep giving these people work. And where do they build these prisons? In white rural communities to populate and fuel their economies and to give their people jobs. Why would you keep putting yourself in the same predicament over and over and over again? Find your purpose for life. Find your destiny and fulfill it, because the dictatorial reign is here. And if you think it's a game, if you think it's a joke, you better look at the makeup of his cabinet. You see the people that he's putting in there, those from Project 2024 and those who are aligned with him. Of course, he said he didn't know anything about Project 2025. My bad. He didn't know anything about Project 2025. That's what he said. I don't know anything about it. So he claimed he didn't know the people. But yet these same people are being put in his administration. These same people are being put in key positions of power. But the imploding is going to come because they're not going to get along. Oh, it's all going to start off nice, and then after a while, everything's going to start falling apart because they're not preparing for the unexpected. And the unexpected always comes in life, in politics, in the game of economics. And the question is, what are you going to do? I told you all about the late John H. Johnson, who founded Ebony magazine. I even recommended you to read the book, Succeeding Against the Odds. I even put it in my short videos for people to be able to see and get a copy of it. Succeeding Against the Odds. Let me go get the book. Take a quick break. All right, I'm back. This book right here, I've told you about this book. I've recommended it. I told you to get a copy. You can get a digital version. You can get a regular version. But you won't do it because you don't want to read. This is the true story, the inspiring autobiography of John H. Johnson, who built Ebony magazine, Jet magazines, who built an empire in the midst of segregation and Jim Crow. I've told you about this book over and over and over again. How he overcame the odds coming from Arkansas in the midst of Jim Crow and built his own empire. We don't have to beg nobody for nothing. We don't have to plead. This is the book. Get a copy of it. Stop playing around. Take your future into your own hands. Read. They don't want you to read. They don't want you to be wise. They don't want you to be educated. They don't want you to know that there have been powerful black entrepreneurs who built multi-million-dollar corporations and became their own CEOs and COOs. We don't have to beg anybody for anything. Napoleon Hill wasn't the only one that could use his mind to succeed. This brother did it. And you need a copy of this book in your personal library. Personally, I don't give a damn about reparations. I'm not going to beg nobody to give me nothing. I'll get it myself. In the words of the one and only James Brown. I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door. I get it myself. What are you going to do about your future? What are you going to do about your present circumstances? What are you going to do about your children and your grandchildren? What type of legacy are you going to leave behind? Are you going to leave a legacy of just being on welfare and food stamps? You got millions of white people who are on food stamps. Millions of white people around the country get Section 8. And they have that access card, that green and yellow access card. Hell, I used to get food stamps at one time. There's nothing wrong. If you need it, you need it. But it should not turn into a way of life. It should not turn into a career. It shouldn't turn into a profession. Don't sit back and wait for someone to do for you what you can do for yourself. It only takes a few minutes to read a book. If people can stay on YouTube and TikTok and Twitter and X or whatever they call it all day long, looking at trash and garbage and filth, why can't they sit down and read? But they don't want to tell you about the hundreds of thousands of young black men and women who are going to school to become engineers, doctors, lawyers, professors, teachers, scientists, inventors, entrepreneurs. Because the news media only wants to show you a one-sided narrative. Look at them, they're thugs, they're hoodlums, they're hooligans. White people are thugs. White people do drugs. White people get high. White people are hooligans. White people are locked up in prison for heinous crimes like anybody else. So I don't buy that one-sided narrative from the news media. That's why there's Tyrone Bowman Live. This is a totally different perspective. They got all the news media. Learn to develop, learn to do for yourself. And when somebody mentions the name of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad in the Nation of Islam, they get upset. But his economic program works. And he taught black men and women how to become self-sufficient. Do for yourself, quote unquote. You don't have to beg anybody for anything. Why would you get upset when the man is saying what he's going to do? And he's going to do it. It's the self-preservation of the white race, and they want to they want the black race to be extinct. Not going to happen. So I have to talk direct. I have to talk plain. I have to speak forcefully to my people. I don't care where you are. Some of you you're in a barbershop watching me. Some of you may be in a laundromat. Some of you may be watching me live on YouTube. Wherever you're watching me from. Some may be in a restaurant. I'm talking to you. Stop being lazy. Stop throwing your lives away. Stop getting high 24 hours a day. Stop wasting money doing dumb stuff with it. I know a conscientious young man right now who's a real estate investor, and he's doing great things, and he'll probably become a multi-billionaire from doing it. If you got money to throw away on the vicissitudes of nothing in life, then you should take that same money and take care of your family. Take that same money and put some aside. Take that same money and prepare for the unpreparable, because it will come. Are you ready for the next crisis? Are you ready for the next pandemic? Because it's going to come. Are you ready? Are you prepared? Are you prepared to take your future into your own hands? Are you prepared to deal with the present set of circumstances right now? We can't always keep lamenting about the fact that, oh, well, I had a hard life. My mother died when I was 12. I've never whined and cried and bemoaned at the fact that I had to go through life without her being here. Painful, yes, but you can move forward. And this whole thing about, well, I've been to prison, I can't make it. I've been to prison. Spent a decade there. But I didn't waste my time doing stupid stuff there. Some of my brothers in arms right now, they watch my program. You can come out of prison and you can rehabilitate your own mind. The psychological mindset of prison is to introduce you to the philosophy of negative thinking, negative speaking, negative acting, negative responding. As long as they can make you psychologically think of yourself in a negative light, you will never discover who you are. I know some of the brightest minds that are locked in prison. Some of the brightest minds, some of the most articulate individuals are behind closed bars. So stop letting people put you down because you've been in prison. There are a lot of people who've been in prison, but they don't want nobody to know it. People in their families, uncles, aunts, nephews. Some of their relatives are in prison right now. So don't use that as an excuse for not moving forward in life. Stop begging and arguing with somebody about reparations. We don't care. Society has always done, from the days of Jim Crow and segregation, always tried to keep black people down. But despite it, we were able to move forward. Keep telling you all, you better not forget about the heroes and the heroines from the past. Don't forget about the great Congressman Barbara Jordan out of Texas, who was head of the she was the judiciary chair during the investigation of Richard Nixon and Watergate. Don't you forget about Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, who was the first female and the first black congressman and the first black presidential candidate in America. Even though she knew she couldn't win, but constitutionally, she knew she had the right to run if she chose to. Don't you forget about Mahalia Jackson. Don't you dare forget about Emmett Till. Don't forget about the civil rights movement. Look at the digitalized version of Eyes on the Prize. Don't forget about those 4 beautiful young black girls who were bombed to death down in Birmingham on a Sunday morning while they were in church. Don't forget about those who trailblazed and paved the way for us. We can do more than sing. Thank God for the singers, the entertainers, the athletes, but we can do more than that. We are better than that, and we're much more than singers and dancers and entertainers. We don't just shuck and jive. That time and that day is over. So my closing comments are this. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with what you have? Are you constantly cursing at your kids, putting them down, calling the MF and the B and all that kind of foolishness? Or are you sitting them down, talking to them, let you know, listen, you can be and do what you desire to have? The late Reverend Ike used to always say these words. You can be what you want to be, you can do what you want to do, and you can have what you want to have. Somebody asked Reverend Ike one time, he said, what exactly do you use? What's the power that you have? What's the stuff that you use? He said it's, quote, mind power, baby, close quote. Your mind is your greatest asset. Your mind is your most powerful weapon. I've read Think and Grow Rich over 200 or 300 times. I've read The Power of Positive Thinking. I've read Tough Times Don't Always Last by the late Dr. Robert H. Schuller. I've read hundreds of motivational books and periodicals and articles. And I'm telling you, the article didn't propel me. What I allow to come in my mind works for me, and it'll work for you. And the only reason why I don't censor comments in the comment section, which are good, but I don't, because I'm not afraid of y'all. I don't care what you say about me in the comment section. Let me keep talking anyway. The fact that you're coming on here lets me know that you are listening to what I'm saying, whether you like it or not. And Democrats, I'm going to keep sounding the horn. Get your weak, pathetic punk behinds together and come back in 4 years with a vengeance, with a rage, with an anger, with a vindictiveness, with a determined spirit if you want the White House and the Senate and Congress again. So to my black brothers and sisters everywhere across America, Africa, around the world, rise up in Africa and take your destiny into your hands, my brothers and sisters over there. Stop being so docile and humble to these people. It's your homeland. To my brothers and sisters in Jamaica, it's your homeland. That's where you live. Stop begging people. You have minds, use them. You have strength, use them. You have innate God-given gifts, talents, and abilities. Use what you've been given. Don't beg nobody for nothing. Do what you have to do. And you're going to find out you can succeed against the odds. That's why I tell you to read this book. Study it. Succeeding against the odds. Study it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Stay woke. I don't care what they say. Well, we're going to kill wokeism. You're not going to kill anything. Stay woke. Stay alert. Become consciously awakened, consciously aware, consciously astute. That the consciousness of prosperity, the consciousness of money, the consciousness of wisdom, the consciousness of knowledge, the consciousness of prosperity, let it consume you night and day and night until you succeed. We can do more than just go to church and say some prayers and sing a bunch of songs and shake people's hands. We need to do more than that. Come out from those church worlds, the church walls all the time, and get involved in the real world, because you can't give what you don't have. What do preachers constantly ask for? Well, now it's time to give unto the Lord. Come on now. Don't be stingy. Give unto God. You can't give what you don't have. Take care of your family and your household first before you do anything. Make sure you're taking care of home. And make sure you become alert. Subscribe to Tyrone Bowman Live, if you don't mind. Subscribe to the channel so we can build a larger platform and raise monies and finances, and so we can do some incredible things to help people. I'm not on here for my health. I'm on a divine mission. I'm not here to lambaste and condemn and judge anybody, but I'm here to present the facts. I'm here to present unfiltered truth. I'm here to challenge you. Challenge your mind power. It's never too late to succeed. It's never too late to drop a bad habit and break away from it. It's never too late to fulfill your dreams and your goals and pursue your good passions in life. It's never too late. Go through your trials and your tests and the persecutions. Everybody struggles. We all go through heartache and pain. We all have setbacks. We all go through pain and misfortune and setbacks and disappointments and rejection, no matter who we are, no matter where we come from. So, white folk, get your reparations, but I don't need them, because I'm moving forward. I'm beyond begging and asking anybody for anything. And you better get to that point in your life. Never surrender. Never quit.